Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 10 of What If Naruto Was Born in the Uzumaki clan. Remember to get this one to 200 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also, stay in tune for What If Naruto Was the Uzumaki King that I'm going to be posting on this channel. And over on Anime King 2 I'm going to be posting What If Naruto had divine powers? So stay tuned for that and I hope you guys enjoy. And I'm also going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto Pushed Himself to the Limit. So stay tuned for that as well guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you're hearing my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Begin the intro. So, the last time we left off, Yaiko went to go and find Naruto. Despite Naruto putting him down, the boy still stand tall. As Naruto told him, if he really wants to become like him to protect his nation to get strong enough, he will have to do things. Things, very dark things. As Yaiko nodded, as he would do anything to get stronger and protect his family and his nation and his friends. Some time passed as Yaiko and Naruto arrived at the location of one of the Akatsuki bases. Yaiko was kind of freaked out as he saw hundreds of people kneeling as Naruto was walking, as they were all wearing hood. Arriving to the site, he saw Kisame and Hidan, as Kisame threw Naruto a mask that only showed one of his eyes, as his blood red eye looked out, and at the mouth you could see teeth, human teeth that looked like ghoul, as he looked rather scary along with his black suit. As Naruto instructed Kisame to train Yaiko, and that he did, as Naruto and Hidan went out, as they found one of the bases. The sand was completely getting obliterated by Konoha, especially because of a man named the Yellow Flash, as he was the one taking this battle as a storm. As Naruto smiled when he saw the campsite, he wanted to rescue the Sand Ninjas because Naruto had a bigger plan in mind. He had something bigger that he was going to do, but he was going to slaughter all these ninjas. As he told Hidan to go back and gather everyone. 3 days passed as Obito was watching as he looked over to see Ren and Kakashi as they were there as well. Things were really bad as Ren was there healing along with Kakashi. Kagami Uchiha, he was a student of the second Hokage. That man, he was the captain of this squad. It then happened, 2 Chunins came inside and blew themselves up. They were under Naruto mind control, as Kagami and the others rally at the gate to see that figure made from pure darkness emerge. They tried their best, but Naruto started to slaughter each and every one of them, cutting them down and ripping them apart, as he even ran his hand right through Kagami's chest, ripping out the man's heart. As Hidan, Kisame and the others were killing off the rest of them, as Naruto dealt with all of the Jonins by himself. It seems like he underestimated himself and their strength. Kakashi and Obito and Rin was the only one left, as Naruto knocked Rin unconscious by throwing her straight into a wall. As Kakashi and Obito rushed towards him, despite their best effort, they were nothing to him. As Naruto flashed behind Obito and was about to kill him, but Kakashi jumping away, and Naruto's sword pierced right through him, as he kicked Kakashi off his blade, as he was sent crashing. Because of Obito crying, and Naruto heard him mention a name, Sensei, Naruto invaded his mind. Naruto's heart felt like it shattered into pieces when he saw his own mother and his own father. This was his father's son that he had with a different woman, and yet his mother treat him like her own son, while they left him to rot. Naruto was furious as he went over to kill Obito, but before he could, a kunai launched right into his neck as blood started to spray everywhere. As a kick sent him sailing away, he smashed into a wall. Despite his Uzumaki regeneration, it was still troublesome to heal a wound from the neck. But Naruto will never give up, as he looked up to see who did this. Father? So yeah guys, that was basically that's where we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself, so let's start this new episode. A 3-pronged kunai was stuck in his throat. Blood was leaking from his neck and his mouth. He was drenched in blood. As he looked up at Minato. But he laughed. He simply laughed. Minato was on the other side of the battlefield, as he was surprised. He aimed a kill shot right at the neck, but the boy is still standing. Even the most strongest ninja couldn't survive a stab right to the neck. But this boy survived, and he was laughing. He glanced across his students. Ren seemed fine. She was simply knocked out. Obito had minor wounds from this battle, but nothing life-threatening. But Kakashi, as he knelt beside Kakashi and checked his pulse, but there was nothing. Kakashi Hatake was dead. Across the field he could see the charred remains of a lot of Konoha ninja, as he saw Kagama's body. If not for the seal that he placed on Obito, warning him of his impending death, he would have lost his son along with Ren as well. What answer could he give to Sakumo now that Kakashi was killed? His only solace now was that Obito and Ren was still alive. He doubted that he could face Kushina and Mikoto if Obito had died. Granted that Mikoto was the boy's biological mother and she took care of him, but Kushina had been introduced to the boy by her best friend over years ago, and she come to care for the boy and even see him as her own son. He had never married Mikoto, neither could he marry Kushina after everything the both of them went through, after what happened with their son Naruto. Minato shivered as he couldn't even imagine the pain that he could have felt if Obito died. He already lost one son to this useless war. He couldn't afford to lose another. He had failed to save Kakashi, but he will not fail to save Obito and Ren, even if it meant killing a deranged teenage boy. As Minato stood tall, as he clenched his 3-pronged kunai, as a dark chakra on the boy blazed. It was bloodlusted and relentless. How devious, said Minato sadly. Hypocrites! Konoha Shinobi, I'll butcher every last one of you, Naruto said. Minato closed his eyes. It wouldn't stop him from doing his duty as a teacher and father. The 3-pronged kunai was still in Naruto's neck as he flashed behind Naruto with the other 3-pronged kunai in his hand, as he was about to bury it right in Naruto's skull. But the boy burst into thick, dark smoke. Minato hissed as he was caught right in the middle of the foul chakra. It was burning his skin, his vision completely blocked. But his hearing, it wasn't. It alerted him to the next attack. As he clashed his kunai against another, he had to quickly sunshine away as dark tentacles nearly ripped right through his body. As he watched those tentacles form, as the dark smoke went together and turned back into the boy once more. As the kunai that was launched in his neck, that is what he used to attack him in the smoke. The wound on his neck was life-threatening, but Minato watched as the size of the wound he started to get smaller and smaller. His healing abilities are off the charts, thought Minato as he looked at his enemy. This sheer force that he could use to be standing up right now, even with all that blood loss and the wound. So, you're the yellow flash. The irony. It is still very amusing, Naruto said. Minato didn't respond, as he reached into his pouch and pulled out a handful of his special kunai. As he could saw that look in the boy's eyes, he could tell that the boy gained a brief idea about his ability. But he still had the advantage. His opponent was fairly wounded. But Naruto was a bit taken aback. He can resist my mind powers, even after witnessing so much death, and seeing one of his students die. He's still calm. As Naruto knew that he was in danger, because his healing power, it has reduced the bleeding, not stopped it. That was a kunai straight to the throat. If it wasn't for his determination, you'd probably be on the ground dead right now. But he forced his chakra straight up to his neck to heal it, and he's trying his best. As he knows that Minato is not someone to travel with. I can't fight him any longer in this state. He wanted to rip Ren apart. He wanted to slaughter Obito right in front of Minato's eyes. But the rational part of his mind was telling him to think about the situation. because he needed to think or he would die. And if Minato was here, then it wouldn't be long for the rest of the elite Konoha forces to return back. Fighting his father alone was a ragtag task, and he doubted his army could face Konoha elite after fighting this army. He looked up and saw a green flare up in the air. That was Kisame telling him that the prisoners were rescued, and he crushed everyone that got in his way. The Akatsuki, they were victorious. With this Konoha garrison wiped out, and with the death of so many veteran ninjas, including Kagami, the Hokage will have to rethink his option. The invasion across the sand will be halted for at least a few weeks for Konoha to re-strategize and think about new strategies. And now that he knew that Kakashi was his father's student that he just killed, brought him satisfaction. Obito would be better if he was dead, but Kakashi will have to do for now. Why? He was brought out of his thoughts when Minato asked him why, as Minato looked at the death and destruction around him. Because this is my justice, Naruto said. Justice for what? Minato asked, as he looked around. Blood. Must have blood. It was strange because in his eyes Minato could see a sea of pain, sorrow, loneliness. But he saw something that surprised him. It was betrayal, like the boy has been hurt several times over. The boy then transformed to dark smoke, as the dark smoke just vanished. But Minato stood there as his eyes were fixed on one thing, staring at the spot where the boy was. Why was those eyes so familiar, he thought. Moments later, Naruto was walking as the blood was dripping from his skin. As he realized now the joy and pride, it was not for Konoha, it was for a boy. He prepared himself for years, thinking that his parents hate him and would call him a freak. But they didn't. They forgot about him. They forgot about his existence. They replaced him with another boy. When he dived into Obito's mind, he saw love, compassion, caring. Minato and Kushina, his mother, they truly accepted Obito, despite Obito not being her son. She loved him, like he was her only child, as he knew that Obito's real mother was Mikoto Uchiha. And yet, she gave Obito everything that belonged to him. The one that she discarded like a trash can the moment he was born. Naruto's leg finally gave out as his body was really exhausted and in pain. As he collapsed on the ground, he felt a tear ran out of his eye. As he twisted around, now on his back, he looked up straight in the sky, held out his hand like he could just rip the world apart. It doesn't matter what it takes, I'll get my revenge. I'll make sure each and every one of them suffer. They all will suffer, he said. He will not be the only one crying alone. He will make them suffer grief beyond what they can ever imagine. For his nation that he lost, for his clan that he lost, for his leader, for his people that he lost. He will make them all pay. Moments later, the Akatsuki forces waited at the rendezvous point, about 30 kilometers away from the garrison camp. The mission was a complete success, as they only lost 15 Akatsuki members in battle. At least 25 Sand Shinobi had been rescued. 5 of them were in bad shape and they couldn't be rescued. Their own comrades put them out of their misery, as they rather do that than have them suffering and tortured here for information. As Yaiko was nursing his bruised arm, to his credit he managed to eliminate several Chonins, 3 Genins, and with Hidan's help he took out a Jonin. All in all, he had killed so many people today. Yet, he was not rejoicing like them. Those other members, they were rejoicing in the kill. He had seen them butcher Konoha ninjas. They were different even if they got injured. The vital organs, they stood up and they kept on fighting. It is like they were immortal. As I still remember, many young Genins threw themselves at Hidan to stop him, but brutal deaths were the only thing handed out. As he hated what he saw today, he hated what he had done. He was no more better than any other ninja now. But he had done it for the Hidden Rain. As long as his nation was safe, he would bear this sin. Kisame was standing off to the side. A few of the Akatsuki members were tending to the Sand Shinobis Some of them were not in good shape, as you could see wounds and signs of torture. Suddenly, the cult members stopped rejoicing, as all of them went down on their knees. Yaiko turned to see the reason for that. He flinched when he saw Naruto returning, his entire body covered in blood. Even the face mask that Kisame gave him, it was drenched in red liquid. The small part of his face that was visible was deathly pale, and his red eye had transformed back in its iris blue. There was a title wrapped cloth around his neck that was soaked in blood. "My lord," said Hidan, as he was shocked to see the condition of his leader. "Stay calm. It's me that is injured, not you," Naruto said. As Yaiko and Kisame moved to his side, as the Sand Ninjas looked at him in fear, as none of them were in condition to fight if he chose to kill them, and considering that his force had obliterated a powerful garrison on its own, their fate was in his hand. As Naruto touched his neck, "Regardless of our religions or beliefs, we all bleed the same," he said. He brushed off Yaiko and Kisame as he walked towards the Sand Ninjas. To be honest, he didn't have any bitter feelings about the Sand Ninjas and the village. It might be due to the fact that the Sand did not participate in the destruction of Uzu, or that they didn't backstab the surviving Uzumakis like Konoha. They were just a nation that the Uzumaki clan had minimum contact with. But it will change now. Kisame smiled. "So it begins," he said. Naruto reached the injured shinobi and came face to face with a remarkable woman. As he saw that look in her proud and determined brown eyes, it made him stop. She was a fairly tall Kunoichi and she had green hair that she tied in a bun, with a hair needle running through it, and 2 strands coming down her face, with orange tips framing each side of her face. She was wearing a sleeveless, bagless top with short, tight pants. She had an obi around her waist as well, with purple warmers that wrapped her on her arm. As he spotted the nasty bruise on her skin and her crooked nose, telltale sign that someone was tortured recently, and he saw that small, haunted look in her eyes that confirmed what she had been through. Yet, she stood between him and her injured comrades with that fire in her eyes. A fine shinobi. Maybe the Sand have a chance if they have ninjas like her. She extended her hand towards him, which he shook. "My name is Pakura of the Sand. I don't know you or your fighters, but you saved my man. For that I thank you," said Pakura honestly. But a skeptical look then came in her eye. "What are you going to do now? And who sent you to save us?" she asked. "We are shinobis that do not belong to any village, but we bear a grudge against Konoha. No one sent us to save you. We attacked Konoha forces, and since you were there we decided to save you," Naruto said. "That's understandable, but still I doubt you do that out of the goodness of your heart," said Pakura, as Naruto nodded. "You're right. We have some other goals in mind as well. As now, war waged across the entire shinobi world. It is not just the Sand, but many other smaller villages who are suffering the tyranny of Konoha, Kiri, Kumo, and the Stone. Those 4 villages has large resources, and yet they attack for selfish reasons. But the Akatsuki will stop them," Naruto said. "Are you proposing an alliance?" asked Pakura. "Maybe. I have a few contacts in few other villages. Individually, none of us can beat Konoha. Even your village will eventually lose in this war of attrition. And you know that I'm right," Naruto said. Pakura flinched. But one look at her injured and abused comrades, and the countless defeat that he has received this week, that was a proof that this boy was right. But he was so young, but the power she felt from him was so alarming. "The yellow flash will destroy us all," Pakura said. But a smirk came on his face as he reached into his pouch and pulled out one of those 3-pronged kunais. The weapons. That was what hundreds of our fellow Sand Shinobi saw before their doom. "You came across the yellow flash and survived?" Pakura said in shock. "We fought to a stalemate. He was fast, but I managed. And don't worry, I have deactivated the seal on his kunai, so he won't teleport in front of you," Naruto said. As he saw the Sand Shinobi see him in a different light, for him to face off against the yellow flash and survive, he must be good. Even Pakura was shocked. "You," she said. She then saw blood leaking from his neck as she raised her hand. He stopped her, but she looked at him with a stern gaze. As she continued to raise her hand and pour medical chakra. The bright green energy slowly stopped the bleeding, and after a few minutes, the wound was sealed temporarily. I have done what I can. You still need to visit the hospital, but you won't die anytime soon. Thank you, Pakura, Naruto said awkwardly. Pakura frowned inwardly. Did he actually expect that she would allow him to die after he just saved her and her comrades? The simple fact that he survived the Yellow Flash. He was an important ninja in her eyes, one that her village desperately needed in this desperate hour. But she didn't have much of an opinion for this alliance he was proposing. That was for the Kazekage to decide. Here, take this scroll to your Kazekage. It has details of my proposal, Naruto said, as he handed her a small scroll. Pakura eyed the scroll cautiously. Naruto simply chuckled. You can check it from every angle, it's safe, I assure you, he said. I'll do that, she said. Now, I must leave with my man. As he nodded. Despite finding someone that could defeat Yellow Flash, well, that could come back alive and not die from going at it with him, she saw the despair and the defeat in their man's eyes. As she knew that they lost the will to fight. A month ago, she was given the charge to destroy this Konoha garrison. Nearly 200 Sand Ninjas were under her command for this mission. But, unfortunately, the Yellow Flash was a part of this camp. She closed her eyes as she remembered the slaughteration that blonde monster went on her forces with. By the time that he was done, only 40 shinobi were left. He killed 160 by himself in a couple of minutes. Pakura saw the state that they were in, so she surrendered, as she didn't want to let her shinobis die. She heard report that 10 more people had succumbed to their wounds or either died after receiving interrogation by the enemy. The remaining 30 was going to go to Konoha Central Prison, but they were just saved by the Akatsuki. Yet, not all of them were saved. 5 of her ninjas were badly wounded, and she had to put her own man out of their misery. Naruto remained stoic as he looked at the ninjas. He was the one who actually started this war. But to get results, blood has to be spilled. As Naruto saluted the Sand Ninjas, surprising them, everyone else did it except for Kisame. Even Yaiko gave a small salute. May we meet again, Pakura of the Sand, Naruto said, as she and the others gave him back a salute. As Kisame saw Naruto whisper something to her, and the both of them smiled. Let's go home, everyone, said Pakura, as they all turned to leave. Time skip. There was just silence as Minato found it unnerving. The Hokage, along with a few clan heads, were there, as they were in the chambers, and the Anbu commander was present as well. They all were staring at him like he brought the apocalypse on them. Granted, the massacre of the entire garrison was a big blow and a big loss, and the loss of Kagami Uchiha was a big blow to the Uchiha clan. It certainly had a huge impact on their war efforts against the Sand, but it was not a big defeat. So you're telling me that there's a shinobi out there that can survive against you, and he was the one who decimated our veteran Jonins, including Kagami Sama, said Hayashi. As Hayashi was shocked. Impossible, said Tatsumi. As hard as it is to accept is true, I have checked Minato-san's memory, and I can confirm everything. Our entire strike garrison was wiped out by a young boy, maybe even not 15. The reason he crushed our fighters was due to his mastery over dark chakras at Inoichi. The temperature in the chambers dropped several degrees as they digested that information. We might recover some video footage of the attack from our hidden cameras. Although the enemies could not be identified since we were all wearing masks, but the few that were killed had their bodies destroyed by some strange seal on their arm, and nothing could be salvaged for us to gain information, said Inoichi, as he made a signal to his aide in the corner. A small white screen was lowered in the center of the room as the footage started to play. All of them watched as the central command was destroyed, as Kagami and a few Chunins went towards the gate. The next few minutes was nothing short of a horror movie, as they saw that boy wearing that ghoulish mask with a red eye rip the Konoha shinobis to pieces. And then the swarm came, a lot of them surrounding the entire camp. They had already destroyed the communication, so Kagami and the others could not send distress signals. Hiruzo's eyes widened when he saw one of the men got stabbed right through his chest. But instead of dying, the man simply pulled out a sword and started to laugh and butcher the Konoha Jonins. On the other flank, it seemed that they had a master swordsman, as his man was knocking them away in Kinjutsu, while the others freed the sand prisoners. Within minutes, the battle was over, as it showed when Minato arrived and stabbed the boy right through his neck. But instead of dying, the boy stood up and he started to fight him. This was shocking as the video ended. This was the first time someone was able to fight against Yellow Flash for 5 seconds, as both fighters were actually slugging at each other. If Minato had speed and boy had cunning, his power was strange. It felt they could see it, as Inoichi had described it in a way that made them feel like they feel it. It was foul and just dark. As the boy took off with his sand prisoners, "This boy, he's a commander," said Hiruzo. "He understood our camp first, figured out the layout and the defenses. Before going inside, he destroyed the communication so no others could be called. He even fought like an Anfu. After seeing there was no point, he had retreated. But his man had already won at that point. Despite staying behind and fight against Minato, which he seemed like he really wanted to do, he steeled himself and left," said Hiruzo. "Hiruzo, this is not the time to praise the enemy," said Koharu, as Hiruzo didn't protest about it, as he sadly made a prayer for Kagama and all the shinobi who died. "Why the hell didn't you pursue them?" Minato Danzo yelled as he slammed his hand on the table. As Hiruzo smiled despite the situation, Minato didn't lose his calm as he looked over at Danzo calmly. "There was no point. I was already exhausted from completing my first mission. This fight took a great toll on my reserve. If I had pursued the enemy, it's possible that I may have taken out a few, but the rest would have captured me and killed me. And either of those scenarios, it wouldn't have benefited Konoha. But the truth is that I had to stay behind and tend to those who had survived. I also had to send a message to all of you, and yes, I stay behind to protect Rain and Obito. If that makes me a traitor, then I'm ready to face charges." Jiraiya saw the fear in these people's eyes. If Minato wasn't there, a lot of bad things would have happened, and they fear for that. It was because of him the literal casualties on their side, and the victory over the sand. Even a warm Mongol like Danzo knew that was the reason. As he sighed, he simply nodded. "Kagami was an old friend of mine. I want justice for him, and all of our shinobi," said Danzo. And for the first time, people saw sadness in Hiruzo, Danzo, Koharu, and Fumiura's eyes. They were on the same team as Kagami after all. All of them were students of Tobirama Senju and fought on many occasions together. In light of recent developments, I thereby bestow the Gallantry Award to Kagami. He and his subordinates shall be given a full military burial, sponsored by the village," said Hiruzo proudly as a few tears fall from his eyes. As they all salute, all of them in chamber got up and salute the man. Final salute. Minato, while paying his respect, he could see that one death could change many things in this war. And what Hiruzo said next: "I want a swift end to this war. No longer can I afford any of our precious ninjas to perish like this. Danzo, I am appointing you Supreme Commander for our army. You know about war than most of us in this room. I want you to use your talents and end and protect our soldiers. Will you do that?" As Danzo nodded in respect. "I will, Hokage-sama," he said. "We might not agree on everything, but both of us want to protect Konoha. I will do all I can to fulfill this goal. I request you to allow my root forces to lead our ground forces." "Very well," said Hiruzo. "Shikaku, you shall assist Danzo on the war front. Inoichi, reinforce our defensive measures and protocol system. Wolf, I want every scrap of intel the Hanbus can gather on this boy and his group. I will execute him myself and make him apologize to Kagami in the afterlife." As everyone was surprised, Hiruzo, who usually wanted peace, the man was pissed as he wanted this to be over with. Time skip, Minato was walking as there was just something unnerving him about that boy. It was like he and Konoha was the one that hurt that boy severely. "It is the people closest to us that hurt us the most," said a voice from the dark alley. Minato paused as he went towards the darkness and saw a familiar pair of yellow eyes staring at him. Orochimaru-san, he said. I am at least glad that you managed to get 2 of your students back alive. Kakashi's loss was regrettable, Orochimaru said. Minato held back his grimace behind those cryptic words. Orochimaru was mocking him for failing to protect Kakashi and the others. It was a known fact that he didn't like him. As Minato had a conclusion that it was because the third Hokage is taking more interest in him. Orochimaru was supposed to be the next Hokage, but seeing that Hiruzen was putting more in him, he was rumored to probably get it over Orochimaru. And seeing that his name was spreading across the world now, his fame had skyrocketed through the shinobis and the Konoha leaders, including the Hokage, as Orochimaru felt threatened by the young upstart. Yet, they were shinobi fighting for the same village. As long as it remained the case, it will be neutral. I'll just have to do better next time, said Minato. You do that. However, the purpose of this conversation is something else, I'm afraid. I'm listening, said Minato. You see, unlike our other comrades, I believe that capturing this boy alive will be useful for the village than actually killing him. His powers are unique. His mind is formidable. I would like to study him and make our forces stronger in this war, said Orochimaru. You want to turn him to a lab rat? Asked Minato with a distasteful tone. Don't be a hypocrite like most of our people, Minato. There's always a price to pay if Konoha want to stay in power like always. And it always pay that price through people like me. It is through my hard work that allow our troops to fight harder and better than the enemies. Do you care how I made the immune system and our chakra reserve for the shinobis more efficient? No. It is because you don't want to. People are always sacrificing, and sacrifices must need for the goal to be achieved. We do not dissect children, Orochimaru, said Minato as the both of their eyes clashed. Ignorant fools like yourself disgust me, said Orochimaru. If only you knew what Konoha has done to keep dominance for all these years. I doubt that you would stand right there and preach to me about moral. Regardless of your hypocrisy, I have a task for you. Consider it as a favor for me. What is it? Minato said. Get me that boy. Unlike you, I have to stay back. And you are on the front line. I would bolster our technologies and our armed forces. And you are the only one that can defeat that boy. But trust me, he is more dangerous than you or the others think. As Minato knew that something was up now, when Orochimaru praised someone, they must be something special. You speak as if you know the boy, asked Minato. Orochimaru became silent for a full minute. As he then spoke, the past defines our presence. Understand the history if you want to learn the past and the future. That was all he said before he disappeared in a dark alley. The man had asked him for a favor. If Minato did it or not, it was up to him. But right now, he had to visit his son. As his mind drifted, unlike Kushina who still had hope for Naruto's survival. He knew the harsh world. Naruto was a fine shinobi, but he was just one warrior. As he had waited for weeks for any news of Naruto's survival. He even asked for help to try and find him, but nothing came back. His fist clenched, as he couldn't imagine his life if Obita's died as well. If not for Kakashi survived, then his son would have died as well, leaving him 2 sons that he lost. Not a single day went by when he didn't curse himself for being helpless. When Kushina was forced to hand over Naruto to Uzo, he was just a lonely chunin back then. That is why he has rose through the ranks now, pushing himself forward to become better. But he can't change the past. Time skip. He hated this. He hated the hospital and the people looking at him. Akainu was pissed. She was downright murderous as she was treating the wound in his neck that he got in his fight with his father. He should be dead if he faced Yellow Flash. But if only the world knew exactly who he was, they should understand he should be hard to kill even for that man. As Konan was also pissed at Yaiko. Where the hell did you two disappear off to? Asked Akainu, as she resisted the urge to strangle him. If she didn't have feelings, she would have killed him herself for nearly dying. The wounds he received were grave. It was evidence of a serious fight. Personal stuff, Naruto said. Akainu gaped as she looked at him as she was shocked. Yaiko gave a similar answer as Konan was also shocked looking at him. You could have died, you know that, she said. But I didn't, Naruto said. You have no self-preservation skills, said Konan. I'm an assassin. Deal with it, Naruto said. As there was a silence in the room as everyone turned to Yaiko. If they couldn't get answer from him, they will turn to Yaiko, but the boy simply shrugged in denial. If he doesn't want to talk about it, neither will I, said Yaiko, as he got murderous glares from the others, but a good nod from Naruto, as the both of them had become friends. But now all of them turned back to Naruto. Even Nagato was a bit pissed off. It is better if you guys don't know more, and don't get yourself involved, Naruto said. And he gets to be Akano, pointing at Nagato, as she was hurt. It made Naruto's heart feel a bit guilty, but no, he would not get her involved. She was building a nice life in Hinarine. The same go for Nagato. If things keep on this way, then Akatsuki would be in the center of a brutal war. And he didn't want his friends to be a part of all of that crap. This was his fight. And he looked over, he saw potential in Yaiko, and the boy wanted to change the world. But the moment Naruto see Yaiko getting compromised, he would kill him or wipe his memory, everything about Akatsuki. It was harsh, but it was the way he had worked for years. I don't want to fight Akano, Naruto said. You're still doing the plan, are you? As Naruto cursed, as he looked at Nagato, as Akano was hurt looking at him. Konan didn't understand what was going on, as she glared at Yaiko, who was her friend, as he was hiding things from her. Why, Akano said in disbelief. You know why, Naruto said. We have to put the past behind us, Naruto. We have a home now, a real home. We can build a future. But he cut her off. And forget everything that's happened? Maybe you can, and that is good for you, but I can't, Naruto said, as he grit his teeth in frustration. What the hell are you guys talking about, Konan asked. Apparently he has a vendetta and he's not going to stop, said Nagato. As Konan glared at him, giving him a look to say talk, but he didn't. So she glared at him. He glared back. She scowled. He scowled back. You're a shitty friend, she said. Tell me something I don't know, he said, as he jumped off the bed. He turned to smoke as he went through the window, as Yaiko also made a quick retreat. You made it worse, said Akano. It's the truth, said Konan. No, he's a good friend, despite everything. He came for me, and he will do anything to save his friends, said Akano. And there are concrete reasons why we care about him, even if he's an asshole sometimes, said Nagato. If he tells you his story someday, then you might understand as well. As Konan was even more curious to find out his truth. As Naruto walked through the hidden rain, his head was a mess. He had to stop overthinking things right now. He had to become the assassin that he was trained to be. He had to stop being Naruto Uzumaki for a while. Because the Battle of the Garrison, it had bring up a lot of troubles. His fight with Minato had showed him the gap in their power level. Sure, he stood up for him in the fight, but despite the situation, he knew that he couldn't beat the man so quickly. And he knew that there are still strong shinobis in Konoha. And he won't be able to destroy that place until he becomes stronger, better, faster than his enemies. And the only way to gain that was through one way: training. He took a deep breath as he knocked on a door at a small cottage. Galatea opened the door as she saw drenched Naruto Uzumaki standing at her doorstep. There was a fire in his eyes along with determination that made her smile. Train me, he said. She raised an eyebrow. Granted, teaching him how to control his powers was an option made to him if he joined the Hinarine. Well, if he offered his service, but Galatea thought that he would never ask for it. And she was not going to go and ask him. What changed, she asked. As Naruto knew her eyes were looking for an honest answer, anything else and she would kick him away. I met my match. The yellow flash is a worthy foe. But she wasn't shocked at all. It was like she was there and watched him with her own eyes. But that would be terrifying because he never sensed her presence. She looked at him. Your glory walked hand in hand with your doom, she said. I want to be the best. Can you make me the best, he asked. I can. But the question is, will you survive my training? It will not be the same as a hunter program. He froze. How the hell did she know that? That program was what made him what he is today. It was a dark secret that Uzo kept hidden away from the leaders of the clan. And the world. And yet this woman knew about it, or at least pretending to. The Hinrain is not a powerful nation. The only way we survive this is by being a step of our competitors. Information is the true power in this ninja world. We know who you are and who you were supposed to be for Uzu. Hunter, she said. You're trending on dangerous ground, woman, he said. But she didn't even flinch. The Hinrain does not accept or support your actions of the Akatsuki, but we are not your enemy as long as you don't become one of ours. They were good, he thought. If they managed to gather this much information, and he didn't catch sight of any of them. You're an asset, a useful one, that can be greatly valued, but burned off at any moment, she said. I'm a dangerous person, he warned. You are, but then again you're still a young child. Whether you choose to accept it or not, it's still up to you. You are not the first person who has suffered or been wronged in this world, but yet we can see that you are one of them with the power and the ambition to change this world. But you are not strong enough yet, she said. I know, he said. As Naruto looked at her, he has faced some powerful ninjas his lifetime, but their mind was always there. But this woman, it was strange. He could not feel a single emotion from her. People, no matter how complex, always felt emotions. But this woman, she was like an empty void. Then get some rest for now, she said. Domino Squad will get a new mission soon, and this one has nothing to do with the Hinrain safety. Why do I get the feeling I won't like it, he asked sarcastically. Goodbye, Naruto, she said, as she slammed the door right in his face. Here he thought he was the asshole. Not only has he met someone that bested him in power and skill, but someone who was more colder and harsher than him. As he wondered, what the hell am I getting myself involved in? The next day, Conan arrived at one of the special training fields, as a barrier was there to keep the rain at bay. There was lush green fields and artificial light to keep the forest at bay. As how in hell the scientists managed to create this place, it astonished her. It was barely 5 in the morning and she always came here to train herself, before any ninja trained first. But today someone had beat her to it. She saw destruction all across the battlefield, and well-placed kunais and shurikens in the dummies. There were scorch marks and large craters like elephants, and flames still on the ground. It was either a disaster or someone was really pissed. She felt something as she flicked her wrist and pulled a kunai. Thrusting it behind her, she heard a clang. Dark energy started to manifest and come around her like a raging tornado. As he emerged out of the dark smoke, it always made him look inhuman when he does something like that. As she looked at him and realized he wasn't wearing anything on his chest, as she could see his well-toned muscles, she calmed herself. You seem busy, she said. I'm not in the mood to talk right now, he said as he walked away. As he turned, he felt a sharp piece of paper graze his cheek. Blood dripped down his cheek as he looked back at her. The only reason she had did that because he allowed it, and the both of them knew it. You're in luck because I share that feeling, said Conan in an icy tone. No one dismissed her like that. As Naruto smirked, you won't dance, he said. I will kick your ass, but where's the fun in that? She said. Name your price then. She clenched her fist because of that look in his eyes, like she was nowhere near his level. But after what Nagato and Kano said yesterday, she wanted to know if there was more to him. I beat you, and you answer a few questions of mine, said Conan. Likewise, said Naruto, as she nodded. As the both of them were close to each other, she brought her foot in a flash as she aimed it towards his head. But guys, it'll be in this episode right here. For the next part, if you still know what to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn the bell notifications they posted. And also stay in tune for What If Naruto's the Osusuke King. And over on Anime King 2, I'm gonna be posting What If Naruto had Divine Powers. And also What If Naruto pushed himself to the limit. But for now, I'm Motivator. See you guys soon. Peace.